Okay, just place that down. And episode 8. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done a Write With Me video. I don't know how well this is gonna go, but yeah, hi. It's been a while since I've done this. It has. I can explain why. To be honest, I haven't done much writing. And I mean, if you followed me on TikTok at one point, it seemed hopeful that I would be updating you guys constantly, making a bunch of these. Because at one point I said I was going to take part in the Vellys, a contest that Kindle Vella is running. Actually, let's see if I can find that. Oh, please. Yeah, taking part in the Vellys. Okay, so I decided, you know what? I'm gonna go for it and take part in the Vellys. It's a contest that Kindle Vella is running, so it's only gonna be available in the U.S. Which you would think by now they would have updated to make it more available to others, but oh well. So earlier I used a random. Yeah, this was from July 2nd. Here's my list of second. No, I'm trying to hit more. TikTok's been doing this thing where I try to hit more, but I feel like they've made the button tinier, so I end up hitting like the tag instead. But yeah, no, this was from the 2nd. As of recording it, it is the 30th. 30th. I mean, granted, the contest goes until I think August 20th, but let's just say I haven't done anything. I started off with a good idea, started planning for that, scrapped that plan, came up with a different plan, started planning for that, actually started outlining episodes, then realized that would be a better book. So I scrapped that as an idea for the Vellys. And then today came up with an idea that would be good. That's more like a bunch of short stories that interconnect. But whether or not I go through with it, that's a different story. I mean, in the meantime, as you can tell from my channel and my videos, I've been doing a lot of more life planning related things. I've been focusing more on my webcomic, building up stuff for coffee, things like that. But yeah, not much writing. Really, not a lot of writing going on. Excuse the weird setup. I'm sure you guys remember this video if you've seen it. My video about the vanishing book listing, because my book, Dark Phantasmateria, that thing up there, vanished from Barnes & Noble's website. And I ended up making a whole video about it after a few days. Barnes & Noble removed my book from its listing. Yeah. And while I did update here, did I update after Lulu? Okay, I know. They didn't say when Barnes & Noble stopped carrying books published with Lulu, but apparently they no longer carry books published with Lulu, even with the global distribution option selected. So yeah, no, my best guess is that Barnes & Noble is prioritizing their own self-publishing platform. More than likely, books published with Ingram are still good. Because, I mean, supposedly Ingram and Barnes & Noble Press use the same printer. And I mean, Ingram is also where most self-publishing platforms distribute. So I would assume, as one of the main distributors, Ingram would be safe. But as for things like Lulu Publishing, KDP, I'm not sure about Drafted Digital because I haven't published a physical copy through Drafted Digital before, mostly because it's expensive. Like, their proofs, because if I remember correctly, they only recently added the physical copies, like the paperbacks. So their proofs aren't exactly affordable. I'm not sure if they've removed any self-published books that were pushed with Drafted Digital. So if you do use Drafted Digital and have noticed your listing disappearing from Barnes & Noble, let me know. I would like to know if they're also doing that there, because I feel like they really are just pushing their own platform more. But yeah, no, Lulu has at least confirmed that Barnes & Noble is no longer, I guess, distributing or selling books from other self-publishing platforms, or at least from Lulu specifically. KDP, if I remember correctly from the chat I had with the help on there, because they didn't have an email option, they had the chat window. They said my book was still in their expanded distribution, so it's not like there's an issue with my book. So that's a relief. But they seemed to also be in the dark on why this is happening, so my guess is it hasn't completely, like, officially rolled out, but they've started removing books from KDP. At least books that were published through KDP and Barnes & Noble. But yeah, I thought I'd add that to this too, because I mean, I did write the book. This is Return, or at least Write With Me. To say Return to Writing, I haven't said that in so long. But it counts, so I'm mentioning it here. Also, since we're over here, let's talk about the project board, since I have clearly rearranged my room. This is my desk setup for the moment. But, let's talk about what's on the board, what's not. So we got this moved up here. There can only be one. That thing. That's been moved back up there because I am sort of like partly shelving it because I need to rewrite a lot of the chapters, even though I do have it fully outlined. It's just a matter of filling in the blanks because I was able to recycle things from the original draft, but a lot needs to be rewritten. Then we have Only in a Fairy Tale, which was going to be YA fantasy, if I remember correctly, but then I changed my mind. So I think it's more like, was it going to be more new adult? Either way, the plot was going in a weird direction, so I decided to put that in planning. I'm going to be re-outlining that. Opposing Forces, that's still in the works. That's just full high fantasy. The Crying Clown is book 1 of what will be, well, hopefully a middle grade, like Goosebumps kind of series called Creepy Crawlies. So this is book 1. Heart to Heart, which is the rework of the original draft where there can only be one, started working on that and then stopped because it's mostly just not necessarily like rewriting, but tweaking what was already there to fit the new direction, I guess. Because the original draft for There Can Only Be One works perfectly fine as its own story, but not what I originally wanted There Can Only Be One to be. So I'm mostly just going in and changing things. So that's where those are. And I mean, comics count as writing, and I do have updates on Living with Lucy. Episode 4 is officially up and has been for a bit. So that's good. So if you're over on Webtoons, that's my comic. Fun slice of life thing, and every episode is 1 page long. Because I thought that'd be a fun challenge at first, and now it's just become a whole series. And I feel like I recently started working on a character reference because the main character, Alex, she really kind of hasn't been... I don't want to say on model because there's no model, really. Like, the first 2 episodes, relatively on model. But then it kind of starts to go a little off model past episode 3. And then episode 4, she kind of looks a bit more like me. I changed programs, so I was even closer to paint on this one. So I need to make a little reference sheet for myself. But I am very happy with how this episode turned out. Okay, I'm probably gonna end this one on this, but... Okay. The idea I was talking about earlier. Jotting down plans. Breaking it down to episodes, because if I do go through with the Vellys, this will be the idea. Provided I don't change my mind again. But I do like this idea a lot better, mostly because it can be broken down into short stories per episode, rather than just one continuous story. Even though it is technically one continuous story, because all the short stories will sort of interconnect. Especially once you start getting to, I think, episode 5 is the plan. But then it'll sort of backtrack. through dreams from this episode because it's gonna be sort of like an Alan Wake 2 vibe meets like Nightmare on Elm Street, that kind of deal. But yeah, started planning. Fingers crossed this goes well.